Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Penny Appeal's first ever Penny. So on Facebook, a little bit of information as to where we're going and how every single penny you donate is making a big. So today we'll be joined by Emergency Response Coordinator Nazim, as well as Senior Programs Manager Gaza. But before we do that, I wish you on behalf of all of PennyAppeal Mubarak. And before we get
the month of hope and mercy, Ramadan.
From every mosque you helped me build, we hear new Adhan.
I am a leader of the future in my own right.
Because orphans like me are learning to read and recite.
With access to clean water so we can wash and drink.
The world is at our feet and we can learn and think.
World pandemics, world wars, emergencies affect us all.
And when things got tough here at home, you answered the call.
And the food you sent us kept our bodies alive.
Through your generosity and kindness, our elders survive.
From starting my own business and empowering our community,
to chasing dreams that are vivid, because your love is our dignity.
Our donors, your mercy is how Penny Appeal makes all of this hope possible. This Ramadan, donate to one of Penny Appeal's amazing campaigns and make a real impact to people's lives.
And again, Ramadan Mubarak from myself and everyone here at Penny Appeal. My name is Samia Aziz and I am the host of Follow Your Penny tonight. So today is the first of a weekly show where we take to Facebook to show you the impact of your donations. This Ramadan is like no other. In the UK, we're all on lockdown, which means we are unable to come together as communities for group iftars. Families are separated, and for countless people around the globe, this Ramadan is one where they are living in fear, unable to determine how the virus is going to affect their lives. So that's why we wanted to show you today what we're doing in response to COVID-19. I'm going to introduce my colleague Nazim, who is Emergency Response Coordinator at PennyAppeal, and he's been leading some fantastic work. Nazim, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak to everybody that's listening, and thank you for tuning in as well. I'm Nazim, I'm the Emergency Response Coordinator for PennyAppeal. So over the past few weeks, we've been responding to the COVID emergency across 9 different countries and in the UK as well. So this is a really unique opportunity for all of our kind of donors to be able to kind of get a link on the ground. We have our partner representation here, Mahmoud Shalabi, who's the program director for our partner MAP, who's in Gaza right now, and he's going to be talking more a bit about PennyAppeal's response, and we're hopefully going to be answering some of your questions as well. So this is a really unique opportunity to get something from the ground, to get direct contact on the ground as well. Gaza is Mahmoud Shalabi is working in Gaza at the moment with the communities there, and working on our response as well.
Great. Nazim, would you like to introduce Mahmoud? So Mahmoud can tell us a little bit about himself.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the introduction, Samia and Nazim. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is tuning in to this live broadcast from PennyAppeal. To reintroduce myself, my name is Mahmoud Shalabi and I am the Senior Programs Manager for Medical Aid for Palestinians in the Gaza office. As part of my duties, I manage the emergency and medical training programs, and recently the collaboration between Medical Aid for Palestinians and PennyAppeal. Thank you so much.
So the real purpose of today is to give you more of an insight as to how we're working on the ground, where your donations are going, and sort of the excellent people that we have behind the scenes, including Mahmoud and also Nazim here. So with regards to the coronavirus pandemic, PennyAppeal launched an emergency appeal as soon as things started to get heated and started to get difficult. As Nazim mentioned, we have a response in 9 different countries, including the UK, Pakistan, Palestine, Syria, Bangladesh, Jordan, and Mozambique. This virus isn't discriminating. We see news stories every single day of hundreds and hundreds of people around the world losing their lives. In impoverished communities around the world, the situation is even more difficult as people struggle to stay safe, to stay clean and hygienic, and without good food. So we're just going to play our video that tells you a little bit more about our response.
Elderly family that has not been able to actually go and purchase some items. They've actually run out of food.
Distribute food parcels to an elderly couple.
Drop in food and some hygiene products.
Donate your zakat to our coronavirus emergency appeal.
Brilliant job, doing a great job. PennyAppeal, long live PennyAppeal.
And we'll make sure that 100% of your donation provides vital food.
Giving out over 200 packs of food today.
Hygiene kits.
It's very important because of the prevention, the coronavirus.
And life-saving support to those who need it most in this terrible crisis.
And thank you very much for helping us.
Cheers, thank you. Yeah, cheers, thank you.
So that's just a little video there to sum up the work that we're doing. But Nazim, why don't you tell us a little bit more? I know you were working with a great group of people yesterday, packing 1,000 packs here in the UK. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, PennyAppeal have been able to respond to the COVID emergency, both in the UK and internationally. So yesterday, our UK team, along with approximately 30 volunteers, we were at our distribution site in Wakefield, spending some of our first fast of Ramadan, spending the whole day packing food packs that are going to be distributed out throughout the UK through our various different partners. We've got over 35 different partners from a wide range of different kind of organizations that are working with the homeless, working with the elderly, working with families from low income backgrounds, working with those that are isolated at the moment, and even refugee communities in the UK. So yesterday was a very long day, but alhamdulillah, we were able to pack 1,000 food packs that are going to be distributed over the next 2 weeks of Ramadan, inshallah. So yeah, I mean, if you go onto our social media, you'll be able to see all of the packs being done, and I think that's really good feedback for our donors to have that kind of feedback, and hopefully over the next 2 weeks we're going to be showing where that's going to be distributed as well.
That sounds brilliant. And actually, for all of you watching today, definitely send us a message on Facebook, leave us a comment, tag a friend, like and share this video so that we can get more people involved in our conversation today. That was really interesting what you said, Nazim, and I think it's important to remember that the most vulnerable in our society have been made more vulnerable because of this COVID-19. The elderly and those with underlying health conditions have been asked to self-isolate for 12 weeks, which can be lonely and absolutely devastating for some people. Some people have lost their jobs and are unable to work, and that's a profound impact on income and the well-being of families. Nazim, why don't you and Mahmoud tell us a little bit about the coronavirus situation in Palestine and what we're doing?
So yeah, in terms of Palestine, we have two kind of sides to our response. One of the main sides that we've kind of initially focused on was supporting the health infrastructure in Gaza. So we're distributing out hygiene equipment, PPE, personal protection equipment for hospitals, and hygiene kits to the people of Palestine. But in terms of going into a bit more detail, I think it will be good to bring in Mahmoud here to talk a bit about the response from the ground, you know, and a little bit about maybe the situation in Gaza at the moment.
Yes. Thank you, Nazem. Just to give you a little bit a glimpse about the situation in Gaza, I'm going to give you some statistical, factual numbers about the situation in Gaza Strip. So the population is over 2 million people in Gaza Strip. The density, we have more than 1,000 people living per 1 square kilometer, which is a highly dense area. We have been living under an illegal blockade for more than 13 years. If we go back to Sam's statement at the beginning, saying that people are forced to be, quarantined, to isolate, we have actually been isolating from from the world for more than 13 years, and this has affected the socioeconomic status. For example, more than 75% of the population are dependent upon foreign aid. 62% of the people are severely or moderately food insecure. More than 50% of the population are under the poverty line defined by the international standards. And more than 45% of the people are unemployed, which is the highest unemployment rate anywhere in the world that you can find. Now, if we put all these circumstances together, this will definitely affect the health situation in Gaza. The health situation is so bad, and I'm going to give you some examples and some shots of what has been ongoing for the last 13 years. With Gaza Strip being on lockdown, this means that no imports, no exports can go out or in of the Strip. The essential drugs and disposables that have been defined by the Ministry of Health as life-saving are at chronic shortages all the time. Since I have started working with MAB in 2016, and even before, since the beginning of 2008, the percentages have been fluctuating for the drugs and medical disposables. For example, last month's rates, we are suffering from a shortage of 39% in drugs and 31% in disposables. Medical professionals, unlike any other profession in the world, they need to go out and seek newer knowledge elsewhere in the world. They can't do it in Gaza. If I'm going deeper into the situation of coronavirus, if we know that the ventilators, ICU beds are extremely important for the population anywhere in the world, I'm just going to give you a mini piece of information. For the 2 million people in Gaza, there are 63 ventilators in all of Gaza Strip. And currently, 49 out of those are actually occupied. So with the worst case scenarios of people, as per the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization, if we are talking about 100 people who will need ventilation, they will not find this. To add also, there is something that has been ongoing recently with coronavirus, and it's in terms of the lack of medical supplies, because it's a global pandemic, because people have been suffering from the shortages of PPE, personal protective equipment, hygiene kits, and drugs, disposables related to this. Gaza wasn't also immune to that. And that's why, in collaboration with PennyAppeal, we have been trying to support the health system, mainly the Ministry of Health, and also other partners on the ground with personal protective equipment, hygiene kits, drugs, disposables, and also disinfectants.
Really good. Thank you, Mahmoud. I think in Ramadan especially, we should all make a concerted effort to remember those in need, especially those in power, Palestine in our dua and in our duas, and to be able to support them through the work that charities like Penny Appeal are doing on the ground. Did you want to ask Mahmoud a question, or shall we move on? Because I believe we have a donor who has called. A bit of a little bit of a technical issue here. This is the joys of working from home as we have been. Sophia, are you there? Walaikum Assalam, Sophia, how are you?
I'm good, how are you? Sorry, technical difficulties. Ramadan Mubarak to you too. Yeah, so I had one question about the fact that it's the coronavirus at the moment. So how has aid distribution been impacted by the lockdown restrictions? So like in terms of movement of volunteers or movement of supplies, like how is the local community and like hospitals coping?
I think that's a fantastic question, and what probably goes to both Penny Appeal's work in the UK and abroad. Azam, can you expand a bit on how on the ground in terms of distribution has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic?
Assalamu alaikum, Sophia. First of all, thank you for the question. I think it's a very important question because I think it's important for donors to understand the difficulty of organizations to be able to still deliver aid during this pandemic. Just as everybody is in a state of vulnerability at the moment to catch the virus, that's just the same with key workers, with emergency responders, and everyone that's on the front lines trying to fight this virus. So, in terms of just a few of the things that Penny Appeal have done in order to kind of adjust their operations. So one of the first things that we did was we reached out to all of our partners. We gave them all advisory notes. We made sure that all of our partners were okay on the ground. We said any support that Penny Appeal need can give to you. And just in terms of for the specific emergency response projects, we've developed guidelines that we've shared with all of our partners in terms of, you know, ensuring that they wear PPE, ensuring that they adhering to social distancing. We're speaking to our partners on a daily basis to ensure that that messaging is going through and ensuring that those kind of restrictions are kind of, or those kind of adjustments are being implemented. And just in general as well, providing them the PPE, ensuring that when our team goes out, they're wearing PPE, they're doing the social distancing. Our partners on the ground in Gaza at the moment are health specialists, especially MAP as well, health specialist. Our other partner that's responding as well is a health specialist. So they already have health specialists that are working and working with the Ministry of Health. So their knowledge of, you know, how to ensure that the disease doesn't spread or through our distributions and keeping our beneficiaries safe is quite strong. But I do want to bring in, you know, a kind of answer from the ground. So I do want to bring in Mahmoud to kind of just discuss about, you know, the safety side of, you know, the emergency response as well.
So thank you so much for your question. And with regards, you know, to how we have been affected, it's actually like anywhere else in the world. Some of our staff members have been working from home. We have produced standard operating procedures, just like Penny Appeal did, ensuring the safety of our staff during this, pandemic, wearing masks, wearing protective personal equipment, forbidding them from going to some specific places where we fear that there might be some contamination or that there might be something that would affect their health. That being said, please note that this is not the first emergency that MAP has been dealing with in Gaza Strip. While it's the first pandemic, it's not the first emergency. And one of the things that characterizes MAP as an organization is actually our adaptability and our emergency procurement protocol. So during these times of crisis, we go to our emergency protocol of starting procuring, immediately whatever is available in the market, specifically knowing that there are no personal protective equipment around, knowing that there are huge shortages worldwide, not only in Gaza. So we try to deploy this procurement emergency so that we are able to mobilize the funds that we get from our partners such as PennyAppeal and elsewhere from the world to try and serve the people in need as soon as we can, because what we are trying to do here is preventing the disaster from happening.
Definitely. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those responses, Nazim and yes, would you like to ask a follow-up question?
From home, especially in Ramadan, to help those in Gaza who obviously they've been going through so many trials throughout the years, and then now we've got the virus as well. So what more can we do ourselves?
Excellent question, especially in these times. Nazim, do you have a response?
I think I know that a lot of our donors support Palestine already in terms of our kind of long-term projects and these kind of things. I think one of the things that you can do if you're, at home and you want to help the people of Palestine, I think one of the things that needs to be kind of happen is at the moment, I do see that obviously at the moment in the UK, the pandemic is really hitting us really quite hard. It's having an effect on our NHS, our health system, and everyone's staying home to ensure that we keep the health system as strong as possible to deal with it. I do think in places like Gaza and places in Palestine as well, I think it's important to raise the awareness of how this can affect those kind of places if it does spread in those areas. I think one of the things at the moment that we're trying to do now is to prevent. So if we prevent, that means that hopefully, inshallah, we're hoping that not as many people will be affected by it. So if you raise the awareness now for the importance of prevention, if you were able to go 2 months back, there would be so many things that we would do differently. But at the moment, Palestine and Gaza are not in that situation yet, but we have an opportunity to prevent it. And that's what we're doing by providing the hygiene kits, the PPEs for the hospitals to ensure that they're ready for it as well. So I do think try and share what you can in terms of raising awareness and obviously raising funds for the response that we're doing at the moment, and share the website, set up Just Giving pages, whatever you need to do, tell your family about it. I know everyone's at home at the moment right now, so you can set up a Zoom call with all of your family and talk to them about the work that PennyAppeal are doing. Whatever you want to do, everything helps. The more people know about the situation, I think the more people that they will help, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I think we're having some technical difficulties there, but I really think that was a great question from the previous donor, just in terms of reaching out to people in terms of what's happening around the world in terms of the COVID-19 situation. Sharing the work that PennyAppeal are doing, both in the UK and internationally, it's important. But I think raising awareness about how this pandemic can affect, some of those countries that we're working in, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Pakistan, Uganda, Mozambique, all of those countries. At the moment, we're still working very much in the prevention side. So it's important that we try and do what we can now so that we can, slow down the pandemic and try and ensure that health infrastructures are are strong enough to kind of deal with it as well. But we could see cases go up in the next few months, and it's going to be important for all organizations to respond. And PennyAppeal, inshallah, will be there to ensure that we are able to respond. I'm not sure, Sami, are you back? Have you got? Oh, great.
I think I'm back. Yeah, I think I'm back. Right. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely, that was a great question, Stain, and I think in these times more than ever, it's really easy to lose focus and lose hope. But it's kind of remember what's going on.
So I think we're having some difficulties with Samia's line, so we'll just carry on. So yeah, just to give you a bit more information about the general kind of COVID emergency response across internationally. So we're working in places like Syria. So in Syria, we've just had the Idlib emergency, and now we're having the COVID response as well. So the situation is quite difficult. At the beginning of the year, we had 1 million people affected there. So it is very much, a lot of the countries that we're working in, it is very much crisis within crisis. So it's important that we do share the information, that we do raise awareness of how it can affect those countries, and we do make sure that we're raising funds to ensure that we do as much as we can during this prevention kind of side of things. But we are seeing some of the countries start to get a rapid increase of COVID cases, and we do hope that it doesn't go as bad as we can, but we'll try and do what we can, inshallah. But I think Samia is back online, so hopefully we can move on to the next donor.
I think so. Sorry about these technical problems. This is the joy from working remotely, as we've been doing recently. I believe Saleha is available now on the line.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, how are you? How are you finding your fast? Yes, I do. I have a few. I think a lot of them are related to Palestine, purely on the basis that I've been there a few times and I've been there with PennyAppeal. I think a lot of people, I'm currently raising funds for the Olive Tree campaign. And one of the questions a lot of people have, like, what is the progress so far on the olive tree campaign in Palestine, and how far are you in reaching those goals?
So yeah, I think from in terms of the olive tree campaign, I think one of the things that might be good to understand is with this COVID emergency, it has had an effect on all of our programs. With everyone being on lockdown, that includes our beneficiaries, and that has its own kind of effects as well. But in terms of our kind of programs at the moment, it has meant that there has been a slowing down of programs, and there's been a case where some of the programs have actually stopped. So in terms of the olive tree campaign, from what I understand, there's 10,000 seedings that have happened at the moment, and we've reached 500 beneficiaries. We do hope that we are able to continue that work, but at the moment we have stopped the distribution of seeds and have stopped the plantation, and we do want to ensure that we, when things do get back up and running, we are able to ensure that we ensure that we do ensure that we sorry. Yeah, sorry, we do ensure that we do that. Sorry, I'm not sure what's happening with the technical side of things. You know, we're all trying to make it work at the moment, and we're all finding it a bit difficult. I hope you guys can hear me, but just to reiterate what I said earlier, in terms of our general programs across the world. In fact, obviously the impact of COVID-19 having many countries going into lockdown to ensure that the spread of the disease can slow down. That's having an impact on our projects as well. So one of the ones that was specifically mentioned by the donor was the olive tree project. So from what I know, the update is that there's been 10,000 seedings. We've reached 500 beneficiaries of it, but at the moment we have stopped the plantation of the project. And what we want to do is we need to just ensure that the safety of our staff, the safety of our as well, but we just want to make sure that all of that is in place. But once we are able to, once it does become safe for us to continue the projects, we will be continuing those projects, distributing those seeds, and ensuring that we're providing economical empowerment to the farmers that we are helping as well. And we will try to update the donors as soon as we know better of the situation. At the moment, Palestine is still in lockdown, so I hope that does answer the question. And if we do need more information, we will be sending out the communication out on all of our projects over the next couple of weeks, just to ensure that donors are informed of how COVID-19 has specifically impacted our programs. But we will tell you if there are any issues as well.
I think you answered all of my questions in that one answer, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's the good news, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate that, and hopefully we will keep you informed as well, inshallah.
Okay, and in regards to your staff that are on the ground during this pandemic,
yeah,
where are they actually active right now? That's more or less my question.
Okay, so for our response for COVID emergency, our initial priority was Gaza and ensuring that, and I'll let Mahmoud talk about a little bit more about Gaza, but working with the Ministry of Health to ensure that the hospitals are given enough hygiene kits, PPE, medicine supplies to respond to the COVID outbreak. In terms of the West Bank, we are trying to distribute amongst refugee communities through our program coordinator on the ground, who hopefully we will be speaking to later if we are able to get him online. But we're going to be doing some food and hygiene kit distributions amongst the refugee communities in the West Bank. But Mahmoud, if you want to talk a little bit more about exactly where we're working and which hospitals we're supporting and stuff, inshallah.
Yes, thank you so much, Nazim, and thank you for the question. What you should know is that we have been focusing our efforts supporting the Ministry of Health. So primarily we donate everything to the central drugstores in Gaza, by which they distribute all the items that we have been donating in collaboration with PennyAppeal, the PPE, the drugs, the disposables, the infection control supplies, disinfectants. We have been donating these to the central drugstores, who have been sending those to the quarantine centers and to the hospitals. So in Gaza, because of the emergency situation, the Ministry of Health has designated one place for the COVID-19 patients in case any of them got sick. And there is also a field hospital for quarantining people. So all the items that people donate through PennyAppeal and with partnership with Medical Aid for Palestinians, they actually go directly to the people in need at the quarantine centers. And those are the frontline health workers, in addition to the patients themselves, providing them with personal protective equipment, trying to help them inside the quarantine centers and preventing the infections from spreading further. Oh, and to add one more bit, we have also been supporting the only rehabilitation hospital for elderly people in Gaza Strip, which is called the Al-Wafa Center. We have been donating hygiene kits for them, and we have also donated some hygiene kits for other non-governmental people who are right now very active during the emergency situation. Because as it is, the Ministry of Health are currently facing huge troubles responding by themselves. That's why all the partners on the ground are collaborating with the ministry to try and prevent spreading the COVID-19 further.
Thank you for that, Mahmoud. And for that detailed response. Do you have any more questions, Saliha?
Answered all of my questions within the 2 answers, so alhamdulillah. I think the last thing would really be is how do donors can they donate directly to these projects in terms of COVID-19 response? Like, are these like particular projects you have going on right now, can they donate like specifically to them?
Yeah, so if you go onto the PennyAppeal website, you'll see the COVID emergency webpage, and it goes through the details of each of the countries that we're working in, and it gives you a bit of details about the activities that we're doing there. So you can donate towards our COVID emergency appeal, and you can donate towards specific countries as well. But yeah, you can go onto the website, have a look there, and you can donate towards them. You can set up just giving pages for the COVID emergency as well. Which I kind of, which would be really good to do in terms of raising awareness and raising funds for our response as well. So yeah, if you go on the website, you'll see all of the information, inshallah.
That's great, alhamdulillah. I think yeah, you've answered all my questions now.
Appreciate it. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for supporting PennyAppeal as well, especially during these very difficult times. It's we don't know what the situation is going to be in the future, so do continue spreading the good word of PennyAppeal's work, and keep up the good work. And thank you very much. Without donors like yourselves, we wouldn't be able to respond in places like Palestine, in places like Syria, and we're not doing that.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah.
Okay, so I'm not sure. We're just going to test it out again. We do think we have Samia back, but are we going to test it out or not? Okay. Okay, so I think we have another donor. So let Samia just get ready and everything like that. So we have another donor. We have a brother Hussam who's online. So does brother Hussam want to ask his question to the panel?
I think I'm back.
Sorry, I think Samia is still having some technical difficulties, so we'll go straight to the donor and ask his question.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Can you hear me properly? Hello? Hi, Sam. Yeah, so I'm currently fundraising. I was meant to do the Palestine Marathon a few weeks ago, but because of the current situation, that obviously didn't happen. But I just got a couple of questions. So the first one is, so with regards to the packs in Palestine, how's PennyAppeal conducting the current distributions over there?
Sorry, so from my understanding, the question was how are we distributing our food packs?
Yeah.
So yeah, as you may know, if you have visited Palestine, you may have met our program coordinator on the ground. He's currently based in Palestine, and over the next few weeks, he will be doing the distribution of food packs and hygiene kits to over 600 families in the West Bank, inshallah. So over the next few weeks, we should be getting some feedback on that as well. And we will be showing our donors the work that we're doing. Obviously, he's going to be working with PPE. He's been making sure that all of our team are all trained to ensure that our distributions are safe and following the guidelines. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be distributing to those kind of refugee communities that are really feeling the effects of the lockdown. With food shortages already in the area, with the lockdown as well, means that a lot of the food cannot come in. So we're going to be sourcing it locally through our program coordinator, and who's going to be distributing it out to those refugee communities, inshallah. I hope that do you have any more questions?
Has affected everyone's life in every way. With regards to future operations in Palestine, this project or other projects, how is this going to further impact any future operation?
it's very difficult to say because like a lot of things in the UK, we don't know when the end of this is going to happen, or whether there is going to be an end of this, or whether our lives are going to be kind of changed or adjusted quite differently. So I don't want to say something in exact form, but what we will say is that we will try to continue to work and reach people in need in places Palestine and Gaza, and inside Gaza specifically as well. We will ensure that we make sure that everything is done with the utmost safety and the priority of the safety of our staff and our beneficiaries, and to ensure that we reach those people that are in need as well. But in terms of our operations, at the moment, I guess what you can say is our focus is very much on COVID and ensuring that the impact that COVID can have potentially on places like Gaza and Palestine as well. In Palestine and in Gaza can have. We're just trying to ensure that we make sure that we try and prevent it as much as possible at this moment in time. But when things, hopefully we do want to go down the route that hopefully that eventually things will start to get better, and slowly we will be able to get our programs up and running again. But at the moment, like we mentioned, our priority is the emergency response, the work that we're doing through our partner MAP on the ground to provide for the health centers in Gaza, inshallah. But to give a definite answer, I don't think anybody can give a definite answer, unfortunately. But we will try to continue and do our utmost to ensure that we reach people in need. Do you have any more questions, brother?
Fair enough. No, I think you've answered all my...
Hello? Sorry, I think we've lost the donor and stuff, but yeah. Are you still there, brother? So I don't know. I think the person has. Sorry, we just. Okay, so I mean, Mahmoud, do you want to talk a little bit more about how the situation? I guess we've talked a little bit about the health infrastructure in Palestine and in Gaza specifically. What would be good to talk about is the kind of secondary effect to people who are in lockdown and people who are from low-income families, how it's going to affect those kind of particular vulnerable communities in Gaza as well.
Thank you, Nazim, for this question. And it's very important to know that as I have spoken about the bad and the politically driven socioeconomic status of the people in Gaza, this has been affecting them even worse than before. So we are talking about people, small businesses that are losing actually, their income right now. Add to that the fact that there are so many vulnerable people in Gaza Strip, such as neonatal babies. So estimations every year for neonatal babies are increasing. So the year before 2020, there was approximately 7,000 neonatal babies at risk. The year 2020, and this is according to the humanitarian needs overview done by the health cluster, run by the World Health Organization. We have now 10,000 neonatal babies at risk. We have so many children who are malnourished. Those are all coming from the fact that their parents are living in bad socioeconomic status. They don't have the means to provide. They don't have the means to live the healthy life that is supposed to be lived in order for you to have, proper nutrition for your babies, to have proper babies and, not having ill babies that would need neonatal support all the time. If you add to it the fact that so many people are unemployed right now, and if you add to it the fact that so many people have lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 situation right now, this is all making it worse, and it's very important for us to keep responding to try to prevent this disease from happening so that businesses can resume their operations as normal as they can. And by normal, I mean the old situation, which is already bad. If I am also allowed to answer the most recent donor's question about how we are keeping a balance actually or how we are going to resume operations. The most important thing to know is that you have to respond to COVID-19 right now, as it's the most urgent need in Gaza Strip and elsewhere in the world. However, PennyAppeal and Medical Aid for Palestinians also, we are making sure that there is a fine balance between our developmental and our aid response at the moment. So while we are focusing on pressing full throttle when it comes to aid, we are also trying to keep a fine balance with our developmental projects. While many of the activities have been stopped, we are trying to maintain the links as much as we can so that when things go back to the previous state, not to normal, to the previous state, we can resume working on the developmental/aid projects as normally as we did.
And in terms of work we are doing in Palestine, it isn't the case that, and I just want to clarify one of the things that I said earlier. When we said that the project is stopped, we didn't mean that it's going to, stop forever. I guess the right word is probably to say that some of those programs are being postponed, and we're going to be monitoring the situation. We're going to assess it, and when the time is right, we will, go back to them. And like Mahmoud has very well eloquently said, it is important to keep an eye on those development projects. Whilst COVID is happening, we do want to get back to doing more long-term work and ensuring that your donations are going to changing the situation and building people up on the ground in Palestine. Okay, so we have received some questions from Facebook, so I just want to go through some of those. So I guess the first one was, how are your donations preventing COVID-19? So what I'll do is I'll speak a little bit about our response in Palestine, and then I'll let Mahmoud speak a little about some of the stuff that we're doing in Gaza as well. But in general, over the next few weeks, we're going to be distributing out food parcel and hygiene kits to over 600 families in the West Bank. Alongside, so those hygiene kits are going to have items such as hand sanitizer, masks, gloves. They're going to have, shampoo, toothbrushes, just general items that you have around your household that promote good hygiene. And alongside all of those distributions, we're going to be doing awareness raising. One for good hygiene in general, but specifically for COVID-19 preventative measures that can take place. All of the messaging that you've seen already, staying at home, having social distancing, ensuring that you're washing your hands, keeping hygienic, covering yourself when you cough, all of those messages that you've seen yourself. I think one of the unique things about this response is the fact that a lot of everyone around the world is feeling it. Everyone around the world is experiencing it. Whether you're in the UK, whether you're in Gaza, whether you're in Syria, whether you're in Palestine, whether you're in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Uganda, all of those places, you're all feeling the same effects of this response. So I think it's important that I guess the way that you can understand it is whatever we're going through now, people are going through it there. And alhamdulillah, in the UK and generally across the Western world, we have good infrastructures that can help us to get through this. But in places like Palestine and inside Gaza specifically, you do have a lot of difficulties. But I do want to bring in Mahmoud again to kind of give the view from the field again as well, talking about how our projects are helping prevent the spread of COVID in Gaza.
Thank you, Nazem. And just to give you a snapshot of the numbers right now in Gaza Strip. So there have been 17 patients diagnosed with COVID-19. Out of those, 10 people have already been cured. And there are currently 7 people who are undergoing their treatment at the specialized hospital in the south of Gaza. The numbers compared to other places around the world are small. And this is due to the fact that there are strict measures right now implemented by the Ministry of Health in Gaza, but also because of your donations. Because we have been able to respond as early as possible. We have been able to spread messages. We have been able to procure hygiene kits and send them to the most in need, to the most vulnerable people. We have also been able to procure the disposables, the infection supplies that are very, very important right now for the preventing of the spread of COVID-19. Again, as I said, this could not have been possible without your donations. So thank you so much. This is how your donations are helping us and PennyAppeal prevent coronavirus from spreading further in vulnerable and fragile places such as Gaza.
Jazakallah khair, Mahmoud. Thank you for giving us that insight, which I think is one of the main reasons why we've kind of done this show as well, is to let people know how COVID-19 is affecting people across the world, and especially today we had that focus on Gaza as well. Just a few more questions coming in from Facebook. So one of the questions is, what medical programs do we have? I think we've kind of spoken a little bit about that in terms of the emergency response, but one of the follow-up questions was, as a dentist, can I volunteer? For PennyAppeal in general, we have in the past had professional volunteers going out into the field and doing some outreach programs. We've done this in Gambia already a couple of times to train up local dentists and build their capacity, and to also do a bit of hygiene awareness, doing a few kind of simple kind of dentist procedures in the field. We have done this in the past, and we have had volunteers sign up and go out into the field and obviously be briefed in before they go out and these kind of things. But at the moment, obviously everything, all of those kind of activities have been postponed for now. But what you can do at the moment, if you are a professional looking to volunteer with PennyAppeal, I urge you to go on the PennyAppeal website, sign up to volunteer, and then, inshallah, you'll be given all of the updates of any volunteering opportunities, whether in the UK, whether abroad. I know we have a lot of challenges happening at the moment as well. So please do ensure that you continue to volunteer, because just because we do have COVID, it doesn't mean you can't volunteer. Like we mentioned before, you can set up your Just Giving pages. You can raise awareness of COVID-19, or in general of the work that PennyAppeal are doing, and send it out to all of your contacts. That's another way you can volunteer. But when things hopefully do, inshallah, we do dua that everything gets better and we are able to kind of go out and be able to do activities again. When that does happen, inshallah, we will get those activities up and running again. I know our challenges team are already doing virtual challenges to ensure that everyone's still staying fit, still staying doing exercises, and still raising money for the good projects that PennyAppeal are doing. So I do hope that all of you can still continue to get involved in the work that we're doing. Cool. We have a few more questions, but I just want to go through some of them. Let me just get my little paper notes here and stuff. So, okay, how do you deliver aid in Palestine? Okay, so I think we have kind of answered this, but I do want to just maybe talk about it a little bit specifically, I guess. So like we mentioned before, PennyAppeal are working with over 9 partners across Palestine. We have a program coordinator on the ground who coordinates a lot of our work in the West Bank, and we have many different partners who have different levels of expertise. We have organizations like MAP, who are kind of more health experts. But then we have other organizations who are educational experts, who work in orphan programming, who work in childcare, and some that work in emergency response. So for PennyAppeal, one of the unique things about us is we love to work with local partners. Our kind of saying in the office is 1 + 1 = 3. So having 2 partners together isn't just about working together. It's just about the added input of having the impact of working together as well. And one of the things that it helps us with is it gives us a lot of flexibility. It gives us a good oversight of the region as well, to ensure that we're meeting all of the needs, and then we can take all of the information that we're gathering from our different partners and ensure that the money that you're raising, the money that you're donating, is going to those in need as well. But I just want to bring in Mahmoud as well, who's based in Gaza, and with our partner MAP as well, just to kind of give a bit more details about how do you deliver aid in Palestine, and maybe specifically you can talk about delivering aid in Gaza. I know a lot of donors have questions about, if an area is in lockdown, if there's no aid going into those areas, how do we get it in? So it'd be good to get an answer from you, Mahmoud.
Thank you, Nazim. What the people should know is that we serve the most vulnerable people anywhere we go as humanitarians. And in Gaza Strip, as I have stated earlier, the majority of the population is actually vulnerable because of the bad socioeconomic status that have been affecting Gaza recently. What we do and what people should know is that we focus our response in collaboration with organizations such as the Health Cluster and UN organizations, the Ministry of Health, and other partners in order for us to avoid duplications of services. As I said earlier, our procurement system is also flexible and adaptable to the emergency situation. We try to procure things as fast as we can from within Palestine so that we can deliver as soon as we can for the most vulnerable on time and on spot. What we do also, what people should know is that as part of our emergency program, we have pre-positioned supplies. Those supplies are stored in a medical warehouse safe. We procure these items before an emergency happens. We store them, we keep them fresh and ready for any emergency. We are known as one of the best respondents, one of the golden respondents during emergencies, due to the fact that we are actually able to store pre-positioned supplies prior to emergencies in anticipation of disasters. That's why we are actually able to respond on time and on spot. And again, as I said, all of our response is based on rapid needs assessment, is done in collaboration with other partners so that we can avoid duplication. And we are sure that the vulnerable people, the most in need, due to the fact that I have just aforementioned, are the ones receiving your money through our aid response.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mahmoud. We really do appreciate. I do want to say appreciation to Mahmoud as well for joining us today in the first few days of Ramadan, and all the way from Gaza as well. We do really appreciate it. Yeah, so we've got a few more questions as well. One of the questions is, do we have orphan programs in the West Bank? So we have just under 1,000 orphans in Gaza at the moment, and we provide them with support to the orphans, providing with food, education, clothes, and we also have partnerships with the school just to ensure that they have the equipment to ensure that their education is to a decent level. We're also doing a very special project in the West Bank. We're sponsoring 65 blind children with a school called the Friends of the Blind Association. So that is supporting their kind of educational needs, paying their tuition fees, paying for the staff, and ensuring that the school is suitable for them to be able to get their education and get a high level education. So we have a high number of orphans across Palestine supporting us, PennyAppeal. If you want to learn more about it, please do go to our website, go to PennyAppeal.org. You can sponsor an orphan. That is another project that we're still doing. We're still supporting those orphans. We're still supporting those orphans. It's not one of those projects that has actually been as affected by the COVID emergency response. Okay. I just want to thank everybody for obviously calling in and kind of listening to us and taking this opportunity that PennyAppeal have given in terms of speaking with the partner on the ground, and just give you a little bit of information about the program for the rest of Ramadan as well. Every Sunday we're going to be here again at 6:30. We're going to be talking to a different partner. Next week we're really happy to announce that we have our partner from Mozambique. We have the program director from Mozambique, Helen Sekemba, who's going to be joining us. And at the moment we are responding to the COVID emergency there in Mozambique. We have done some. We have been responding since Cyclone Idai hit last year. So when Cyclone Idai hit last year, PennyAppeal had a disaster response team on the ground. Within 24 to 48 hours of the time, we distributed that food and hygiene kits to thousands and thousands of people there. And one of the unique things about PennyAppeal is when we do an emergency response, we don't just stay there for the first few months. We try to stay there to do more recovery projects. So trying to get people's lives back on track. And we're still working in Mozambique. We're doing livelihood programs there. We're working with farmers there to ensure that they're able to get their lives back on track after Cyclone Idai. And now at the moment with the COVID emergency, we're doing some hygiene awareness programs. We're distributing seeds. We're working with the Ministry of Health to support the hospitals to provide PPE. We're working on many different programs to ensure that we prevent the COVID emergency from spreading across Mozambique. So yeah, I think we've kind of going towards the end of the day now in terms of the program as well. What I want to reiterate is, we have put this program together to ensure that our donors have a better understanding of the work that PennyAppeal do, and we want to make sure that you guys are all kind of confident that your donations are reaching those people in need in Palestine, in Syria, in other places as well. So what would be good is if everyone can please keep supporting PennyAppeal, please keep donating, please keep doing all of your challenges, please do whatever you can to raise awareness about the COVID emergency, and we hope to see you guys next week. I want to thank Mahmoud for coming on and representing MAP and representing PennyAppeal and talking about the work that we're doing on the ground. We really do appreciate it. This situation has affected all of us. Do you have any last words, Mahmoud, that you can give to our donors?
Thank you so much, Nazim. Being a UK charity also that is big on advocacy, I would like to say that you can also help reaching for your parliamentary representatives, letting them know of what's happening around the world in vulnerable places such as Gaza Strip. Let them know that there are also people suffering elsewhere in the world, and try to push on a global scene to make things happen, to make aid reach faster for such as for places as in Gaza Strip. I would also like to say an Arabic proverb that means it says وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْجِبَالَ مِنَ الْحَصَى, which translates to mountains are made of small pebbles. Every penny you donate is part of, contributes to a large sum of money that will enable us and PennyAppeal to respond better to any emergency that we are facing, and now specifically to the COVID-19. Thank you so much. It has been an honor, being hosted for the first event of Follow Your Penny, and I hope that we have managed the event properly, both Nazim, myself, and also Samia. Thank you so much for all your questions, and it has been a pleasure from Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Really appreciate it. We kind of stuck Mahmoud in the deep end to join us for the first one, but Alhamdulillah, he's done an amazing job, and I hope that he's answered your questions, and you guys can feel really confident about the work that PennyAppeal are doing, and that your donations are reaching those people in need. I just want to say thank you for joining us. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. We hope to get that, learn from that, and hopefully do better next time, inshallah. And please do tune in next week at 6:30 so we can talk about the work that we're doing in Mozambique, inshallah. So for now, assalamu alaikum to everybody, and Ramadan Mubarak again.
The month of hope and mercy, Ramadan.
From every mosque you helped me build, we hear you are done.
I am a leader of the future in my own right.
Because orphans like me are learning to read and recite.
With access to clean water so we can wash and drink.
The world is at our feet and we can learn and think.
World pandemics, world wars. Emergencies affect us all.
And when things got tough here at home, you answered the call.
And the food you sent us kept our bodies alive.
Through your generosity and kindness, our elders survive.
From starting my own business and empowering our community,
to chasing dreams that are vivid, because your love is our dignity.
Our donors, your mercy is how PennyAppeal makes all of this hope possible. This Ramadan, donate to one of PennyAppeal's amazing campaigns and make a real impact to people's lives.